I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna.
And together, we created the Cognomovement system. And we'd like to welcome you to the New Life Perspectives radio show,
where we're going to be sharing with you tools, tips, and ideas that are going to change your life.
Hello in UK Health Radio Land. This is Liz Larson, and I'm here with
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna, and we are the Cognomovement team, and we are presenting a New Life Perspectives radio show. Today, we have the very great honor and pleasure of having one of our Cognomovement practitioners with us, who also happens to be a stress and pain management coach, and that is Katie Wrigley. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you, Liz. Great to see you guys again.
We're always so happy to see you.
It's so great to have you on the show, Katie. Katie, for all you listeners, Katie has an epic story, and I'm sure that all of you out there, hopefully none of you have had to endure the type of things that Katie has in her life. Amazing story of trauma, adventure, and pain and suffering, and rising from it all. Anyway, it's very exciting to have her on the show. So take it away, Liz.
It really is exciting, and we've been wanting to share Katie's story for a while, so we're so glad to have her on today. Katie really has a story of really great recovery, really amazing manifestation, and the work ethic to get it done. So I'm so excited for all of you to hear about that, because a lot of times we think about manifesting, and Bill and I have been talking about quantum manifesting for weeks and weeks now. And it's part of we have a new course out and our book, The Tiny Book of Big Manifesting. But a lot of people think that manifesting is dreaming something up and it shows up on your doorstep, which is true in some cases. But Katie actually said something to me recently that was so fascinating. That was about how she did manifest a whole lot of this, but she manifested the right ways to get it done. And then she still had to do the work. And that's really, really true. In fact, a lot of times, if you get a manifestation that just pops in your life, it's exciting for a few minutes, but you don't have all the learning that comes. You don't have the journey to get there. And Katie really has that. So Katie, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the injuries that you've had or somewhere else?
Yeah, let's start with the injuries. That's a pretty good place and tends to be a little cringeworthy at times. Even me hearing it back, I'm like, wow, yeah, that did happen.
So tell us what did happen.
So many things, actually. If we start with the injuries, so really the basis of this actually started in childhood. I had endured a long-standing and pretty severe childhood trauma. And then I commenced in spending the rest of my life till my early 40s, completely running away from it and doing everything I could to avoid it. And by everything, I mean drugs, binge drinking, whole lot of wild times with a lot of really hot men, skydiving. I loved skydiving. And even now, I can look back and it brought a lot into my life, but I wasn't good at landing. So because of doing all these things and zero self-care, all that caught up with me, and it spun even out of just my own little bubble. And I started to have relationships with people who really didn't have my best interests in mind. And all of this culminated into disability in my early 40s. And at that time, I had 6 bulging discs in my lumbar spine. My facet joint, which are those kind of tiny little things on either side of your spinal column that your peripheral nerves feed out of, was shot. It was annihilated, I think is the term the doctor used, which meant that I had severe pain going down my legs. And even as recently as a year ago, I was losing strength in both legs, especially the left leg. Like I was so weak at one point that I couldn't even do like a regular sit on my butt leg lift to get my left leg straight off the ground. The nerve pain had been so bad. But early in my healing journey, someone had been introduced me to the idea you can heal with your mind. But yeah, I had many injuries. I'd also been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, complex regional pain syndrome, or CRPS, which was after a knee replacement, part of the disability. And then I think also a herniated disc in my neck with nerve pain going down my left arm.
Now, were you aware that when all these things were happening, the accidents, the tragedies, right? All these different things happening, were you aware that you were running away from the trauma, or were you just like, this is my life, and you're not even really thinking about it?
That was my life. No conscious thought whatsoever. Really, it was as soon as some sort of emotion came up in my body that I didn't like, it was, what do I have around me to numb? Can I go jump out of a plane? Can I go take a drink? Can I go get high? Can I go do a line of Coke? Like what is going to help me get rid of this feeling? And that did nothing to help me. I mean, brief periods of respite and also big gaps in my history that I don't remember because it wasn't all here. So yeah, zero conscious awareness.
It was, if to summarize it, the fear of feeling those feelings. You didn't want to feel it. It was too painful. Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
So Katie, what in the world was the shift that happened? Because a lot of people will experience these kinds of things and then they just live their life out that way or go off the deep end. What happened to you that created a shift that allowed you to even begin to think you could change your life as dramatically as you have today?
Well, going back to that seed that had been planted long ago by my wellness coach saying that you could heal with your mind, which by the time someone suggested Cognomovement to me, I was so frustrated that I hadn't been able to do it. Like there was one week where no shorter than I think 3 or 4 people sent me a Dr. Joe Dispenza video, and I got pissed because like, how did he heal himself and I can't? I was jealous of him. And then I thought, okay, I was on the books to go see a neurosurgeon, and the idea of that terrified me. Everybody kept saying back surgery is 50-50. And I had already been the less than 1% with severe complications twice. I was terrified. I was afraid I may never walk again if I had surgery. And so I felt like I was stuck in a medical corner, and not for the first time in my life. And so I thought, okay, let's see if we can really harness the power of our mind. Let's put everything we have into this. Like, you are type A, you've done everything you've set out to do in your life. You've manifest stuff over and over again. Why don't you manifest yourself into better health?
Now you had tried, had you gone to a Dr. Joe Dispenza seminar?
I had not. I had done some of his meditations and I enjoyed them, but I never got to that point of feeling the relief. Not until my first session with you, Bill. That was the first time I experienced no back pain. And we didn't even use the ball in that session. And you got my brain thinking about different channels, different patterns, different paths, and you flipped the switch in my head and my back pain went away.
Well, yeah, that was a good first session. That was fun.
It really was.
So Katie, share with us, we're going to come back to the story about how you actually healed. So we're going to meet up with that again just in a couple of minutes, but we met you in about October last year. Is that correct? Almost not quite a year. Would you share with everybody what has actually changed? Just list the things. You don't have to tell us all of it yet, but what are the things that have changed in your life in this short period?
Oh gosh, it is a list. So I've actually regained 2/3 of an inch to my height. All those injuries I listed before, it had knocked off more than 2 inches. I started at 5'7.5", went down to 5'5 1/3", and back up to 5'6". So pretty excited about that. I've been able to retire from my corporate career, which was another one of my escapes. I threw everything I had into that career with no self-care again, back in the days of that's just the way things were. Was able to retire 6 months ahead of when I had planned to, so that I could focus full time on what I'm doing now. My relationships are so much more improved. The people who have really been there for my life, I've never had so much fulfillment in my personal relationships. And I was also able to identify those that I had to let go of. It was really painful. And I worked at the ball a lot on a lot of those that some of them had a lot of layers. There was people really close to me I did not want to say goodbye to, but it was undeniable the difference in my improvement once I did. I'm back to yoga again for the first time. I can arch my back for the first time in 5 years. I'm going to go into the skydiving tunnel, those big wind tunnels, when I go to Atlanta in a couple of weeks. I haven't flown in 4 years. I'm so excited to do that again. And I don't have to worry about landing, so I'll be fine. Gosh, everything. I've been able to lose weight. I've been able to, for the first time in my adult life, create a positive body image for myself, which now the only way I can lose weight is through love and acceptance of my body. And it's because I want to do more, so I'm not stressing out my knees. Like, it's all through a place of love, not I'm not enough, I'm not worth this. It's all I love myself. How else can I do this? What else can I bring forward today? How else can I help someone else? And I've been able to start to shift my focus to helping other people much more than I ever could in the past too. I don't think that's even the complete list, Liz.
Yeah, I know. It's true. I mean, you're so amazing. And I know that so many people out there listening and thinking, oh my gosh, I really wish I could do this for myself. But I think the thing that strikes me so much about your story is how integral it all is. It wasn't just one thing, not just the pain, not just the accidents, but relationships, work, and other things. It's all like one big ball.
Mhm.
Was there a point at which things started to shift? Was it the session with Bill? Was it something after? What happened that really got things moving in a different direction in your whole life?
So there were two things. One led me to more compassion, and the other one raised my energy. So the first one was the thing that happened right after my back pain was released with the session with Bill is I had a massive panic attack because pain had become part of my identity. And so that really got me thinking, like, if I'm going to be wanting to help other people who are struggling with pain, they need to know who they're going to be after it. And that was something I'd never considered before. And then the other thing that really shifted things was attending the 3-day Cogno Conscious. And this was when we had to do it virtually too. Like, we couldn't even be in person. And I finished that 3-day seminar and went to put together furniture in my kitchen without any back pain. It was insane.
Wow. And you were in relatively constant pain, isn't that right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember bringing my anti-gravity mat out and making sure that any of the neurological thumps were on carpet and very soft. And by the end of it, I didn't even know where the mat was. And I was walking around barefoot, and it was mind blowing.
Were you aware of that though at the end of the conference when you were putting together furniture? Did it occur to you, what am I doing? I'm putting together furniture and I have no pain. Or had you kind of forgotten about it?
I had kind of forgotten about it, but at the same time, like, maybe I should take this a little slower. But I was fine.
Katie, would you share something with us too? You made a really interesting comment that maybe you didn't know who you'd be without the pain. You'd lived with it for so long. You had all these coping mechanisms like you shared. What are you talking about that you weren't sure who you would be without the pain? The reason I'm asking is I know that there's a lot of people out there who are experiencing the same thing and haven't considered this question.
And yeah, that's a great question. So, and it, like I said, I was shocked. Like it went from relief to panic to shock, like pretty much instantaneous. And so I spent some time really thinking, like, what is this about? Like I've wanted nothing more than to release my back pain for as long as I can remember. Like, why am I freaking out now? And then I realized, like, and I flipped it around and I thought, okay, you know, we often do this in sessions, is what's right about this? What was I getting out of being in pain? Which was a very weird question to ask myself, because my immediately like, well, I'm not getting anything out of it. I hate being in pain, but that wasn't true. And it's actually even a little hard to admit, but because since I'm a coach, I'm big on accountability and I'm very proud of my level of accountability. But I found that people were like patting me on the back because I could do my PT exercises. And so I felt like I had like a legit out from doing like real exercise again, despite having loved working out in the past. I felt like people were okay if I didn't show up. You know, I could flake without them getting mad at me versus just being in integrity and saying, I would love to make it. I don't know if I can, instead of committing and then being like, I hurt too much. I need to go home. So those were the big ones. And it was a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm very grateful that I did, because now I think to ask my clients who are in pain, like, who are you going to be when you don't hurt anymore?
It's amazing the look on a person's face when you ask that question, because most people haven't even thought about it. Bill, we run into a lot of this, you and I in sessions, and Katie as well. What are some of the things that people are getting out of this level of pain, this kind of a situation? What do you run into?
You know, it's really an interesting question. And it was years ago that I ended up I just stumbled into this, right? I knew that the techniques that we had created these neurological connections, and they really worked. And we would get people down on an issue, whatever that issue is, and it would, let's say, go from a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 down to, let's say, a 4. But I would hit like a floor. It was like I could not get it below a 4, and I would try and I'd do this and that to help them, and eventually I stumbled upon, you're getting something out of it. Now, what I found, a few common ones, one of the ones here in the United States, because this program goes global, but we have programs called disability insurance. So if you get disabled, you're going to get a payment, right? Or maybe it's what they call workers' compensation, which is another type of insurance where you literally get money. In the armed forces, even later on, I found that your compensation for being disabled is relative to the diagnoses. So if you have one diagnosis, you'll get a certain amount of money. If you got 2, 3, 4, 5, all of these different things that have happened to you, you get more and more money. Now, people being people, they want to be honest, right? If I'm not in pain, if I don't have this illness or injury, how can I accept that money? That would be dishonest. So these are good people. They, their body though is trying to protect them, right? And there's this subconscious connection which keeps the situation locked in. So these good people that don't mean bad, but they are locked into a cycle of pain. I've had many, I cannot tell you how many, I drop the pain to a certain level and literally, whatever it's the emotional or whatever a pain or whatever, they will stop me at a certain point and say, no, I don't want to go any farther. And because they're getting something out of it. When I have witnessed when people end up getting a settlement, so in some of the programs, it's not a forever reoccurring revenue for a person. They end up getting a lump sum of cash. And when that lump sum of cash comes in, the most amazing thing happens. And these people are not lying. The actual pain goes away. There's no more need for it. So anyway, is it just a phenomenon that I've noticed? And this, I use the example of disability insurance or workers' compensation insurance, but it's not always that. It could be that, like a child, if I'm sick, then that means my mom's going to care for me. I mean, she's going to come to the side of my bed, and she's going to bring me stuff, and she's going to touch my head and check my temperature, ask me if I'm okay. I get to feel loved and cared about. If I'm well, she's like, hey, get outside, go do what you're going to do, she's not going to be like paying special attention. And so these special attentions that we get could be, I get a special parking space. Literally, we've had people even tell us, you know what, the truth is, I like my special parking spaces. I got this little plaque here and I get special treatment, so it could be so many things that keep us locked in. And oftentimes those things are so juvenile. It's almost embarrassing if we admit it. We don't even look at it, but it is literally from the subconscious, and the subconscious is programmed when we're a child, much like the if I get sick, then I don't got to do what I don't want to do, like go to school, right? I don't want to go to school. Oh, wow, you get sick, I can gonna sit there and flick the channels on the TV, play some games, whatever, hang around, see what's in the fridge, hang out. So those are the things that I see. What do you see, Liz?
Yeah, the same sorts of things that the special treatment is a big one. Another one is the place in the family. So you and I met someone recently, Bill, who that was their place in the family as the person who needed all this special care that everyone was focused on because they had so many injuries and they were going to be having surgery. So it was their way to get all the attention. Now, that sounds terrible, and it's not a conscious thing. We want everybody to know these are not conscious things. They're patterns that run in the neurology. And Bill pointed to something. When you're a kid, you get to stay home from school, or maybe that was the one time you got your mom's full undivided attention. Or maybe it was the one time you got nurturing, loving attention. So there's a lot of these things that our nervous system learns early on that gets us what we want or feels good, that gets mirrored when we have an injury or pain. So Katie, there had to be a trade-off for you. There was a point at which you decided, wait a minute, if I can create some healing, maybe I can create more, and there might be a trade-off. So when did that formulate for you, the manifestation possibility of what your life could look like?
I'm not really sure I can pinpoint it in time, but what you guys had just said about, getting your parents' undivided attention. I have an older sister and I have wonderful parents, wonderful sister, but you hit the nail on the head. Unconsciously, I wanted all their attention because I was the baby. So that was definitely part of it. And part of the work along the way was asking myself, how can I have a healthy relationship with my parents without it revolving around my health? Especially because my mom was a physician's assistant before she retired. So even more so, like she had the medical knowledge. So I got I got the attention of the doctor's office, and no, I'm not proud of any of this. And no, none of it was conscious, much to both of your point before. But it was, I think somewhere along the way, I think it may have been during Cogno Conscious actually, because I'm kind of getting a picture of me doing figure eights in my living room. So I think that may have been it, is like, hey, I really want to have a fantastic relationship with my parents, and I do. And I do not want it to revolve around my health anymore. And so I really started to think about, well, what else do we have in common? What can we forge a bond around, because they were super loving. They're very accepting. We have a really great, I moved to be 20 minutes away from them. Like I clearly love my parents a lot. And I'm so thankful that I still have them. And that was all it took. Like we very rarely talk about my health anymore because there's nothing to talk about. I'm healthy.
What a relief for them, I'll bet, as Bill and I, as parents, thinking about that, our kids being sick, it's all consuming, even if they're adults. Imagine for them what the relief is of knowing that you're thriving. So was there a point at which you were like, okay, so relationship, what else? Like, what else was the trade-off for you? What else were you aiming for next?
There were a few things. I wanted to be able to focus on my business. And I knew that the more success I made in my own journey, the more compelling that would make me as a coach, and really show like, hey, this woman has been there. She's done that. She knows what it's like. That was a really big driver for me. And so I think the fact that I had professional and personal drivers, it just made it so much easier to be accountable. And none of this has been a struggle, by the way. Like I call it work because I don't know how else to classify it. But like when I talk about having a session, I say play with the ball, because you can make it fun. You are feeling what you need to feel. And that was the other thing, is I got to a point I couldn't stand how I felt anymore. I couldn't stand being in pain all the time. I couldn't stand being anxious all the time. I couldn't stand feeling like I was on the sidelines, before everybody was on the sidelines being socially distanced. I couldn't do that anymore. I was watching my life just pass me by, and I wasn't an active participant. And that's true for a lot of people who are in pain, is because the stress of so much pain, you probably tell yourself at least once a minute that you hurt. And again, it's not conscious, but if you ever talk to someone, if you guys know anybody who's had chronic pain, they'll tell you many times in a conversation, well, I hurt, I couldn't do this because I hurt. And it's like, I get it. And every time we tell ourselves that, our brain goes, yep, we hurt, don't do it.
Now, when you say hurt, there's degrees to everything. And so for the audience, for the listeners, you got diagnosed with this chronic pain. And so give us an idea of a 1 to 10 level that we're talking about here, that when you were in this.
Well, my average pain level, it's even hard to remember, or it's hard to believe I was ever there. I walked around at like a 7 or 8 most days. That was my baseline. And then and that was when I was disabled, and I was able to get it to about a 4 or 5. And if you do any pain management, everybody wants you to have a 3 or lower. And it was a constant struggle to try to get down to a 3, because this arbitrary number they felt was where you started to get more energy back for other tasks. But I never got there until Cognomovement.
So as a standing resting situation, you're up in the 7-8 category.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Oh yeah, I actually, so I was using my heating pad so much on my back that all of my skin had been discolored from getting burned. I was actually cooking my skin because I was in so much pain. I sat on my heating
You were
pad.
cooking. You were cooking. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
cooking myself. And
You said,
you know,
did you say that your skin turned black?
dark brown. And I mean, you can see how
Dark-
pale I am. That's
Dark brown. So for those of you that are just on the radio and not actually able to watch this on the actual recording, she looks like a Northern European. She looks to me to be like English, Irish descent, Scottish descent type skin color. And
Mhm.
so that's really, really amazing. I didn't know that's another new one. I didn't even know you could do that. Cook yourself. But wow.
Yeah, you can.
Wow.
I don't recommend it. Takes a while for the skin to heal, but it is possible to heal it. I don't have burn marks on my back anymore.
So when you started to notice, so you said there was no pain after that first session for a bit, and then Cogno Conscious really changed your awareness of what might be possible. And it sounds like another level of decreasing overall pain.
People don't really know what Cogno Conscious is. The people on the listening to this, yeah, maybe Liz, you could just quickly describe what she went through in that seminar, or Katie, if you want, tell you what happened. What is that, and what happened?
Let's let Liz just give that in a nutshell first,
Okay.
because I get all excited talking about it, and I may talk too long, and then I'll kick on after that.
There we go. Okay.
So it's 3 or 4 days, depending on the schedule. 4 is better because it's a lot. And we move up the Hawkins scale, David R. Hawkins, power versus force scale, from shame all the way up to enlightenment. And we clear at each level the patterns in the physical body of shame, fear, guilt, up into courage, acceptance, and then all the way up into enlightenment. It is hard. It's grueling and tremendously fun at the same time. But the idea is not that we go through each thing that you've ever had in your life that created fear. It's one command to the body to clear that out during one process. So we just continually work those all day, every day, until we actually experience that physical feeling of enlightenment. It's pretty incredible.
It really is. And so to answer your question, Bill, because of the focus on where we're feeling things in the physical body as we're going up that scale, the thought occurred to me as we're doing this, like, wait a second. If I raised my energy and the pain went away and it stayed away and it kept staying away, and then, okay, things are bothering me, go back down again, pain goes up. Like, if I control my energy, does that mean I can control my body pain? And that was exactly my experience. And so now, because of that awareness and because of the way you guys structure Cogno Conscious, I can actually, if I feel any sort of twinge or start to feel like, okay, energy feels low, all right, what's going on here? Grab the ball, do a session, raise my energy back up again, and I will feel relief in my body again.
That's awesome.
So where are you at on a daily basis now, Katie? From being that 7 or 8 in pain, where do you kind of exist in that realm now?
0.5, maybe a 1. Maybe after I've mulched, I maybe at a 3, and then I take a bath and I'm back down to a 0.5 again. So yeah, really low.
Would you say, in the past you were living with pain? Like that was your norm most of the day?
Oh yes. My first thought when I woke up was ow, ow. And then as I tried to move, oh, ow, no, don't want to do that. No, ow. Oh, it's like trying to sleep with a bad back is not easy. And I'm sure a lot of people listening know that themselves as well too. Highly recommend a body pillow. They're lovely for support. And now like I wake up and I ask my body, what do you need today? What do you need from me? And sometimes it's like, I want rest. Sometimes it wants bike ride. Sometimes it wants yoga. Sometimes I don't want to do what my body wants to do, but I'll do it because I know what's going to happen if I don't listen.
That is amazing.
And you used to, did many things, right? There were surgeries, there were all kinds of things that you had done, including, all the standard drugs that one would try to utilize to control this level, which is really extreme.
Yeah, I've actually been told.
Are you on any of those anymore?
I am still taking Lyrica for nerve pain, but very low dose. The maximum dose, which I have been on before, was 900 milligrams a day. I'm only at 150, but I'm actually going to be emailing my doctor fairly soon and asking if I can just stop taking it or if I need to wean myself off because I don't think I need it anymore. I feel amazing.
Okay.
That's incredible. Katie, you said something that was super interesting. You said that when you're in that much pain, that about every minute you're thinking about, I'm in pain, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. So that's a lot of brain space that is dedicated to pain. Without that, what do you do with your brain? What do you think about? What's available now that wasn't before?
Everything outside your body, everything. It's what do I want to do today? Do I want to go climb a mountain? Do I want to go hang out with my friends? Do I want to go play with my dog? Do I want to walk my dog? Do I want to rest? What do I want to do today? What do I want to do with my career? How do I want to put something out into the world there today? And your world just, you go from these horse blinders, really that are almost like this because you're so into your body. And there was actually, I had a few aura readings using the BioWell during that time. And it always came that I think it was like 90% of my energy was focused on my body when my pain was really high. And I'm going to go do another one soon to see, because I know that it's going to be flipped around, that I'm not, unless I'm really like focusing in a meditative state, I'm not thinking about what's going on in my body anymore. I mean, I mulched my yard for 6 hours a day the last 2 weekends in a row, and I just needed a bath and a nap, and I was fine.
Which is normal, right? Anybody who just mulched for 6 hours needs a nap and a bath. So, Katie, every week, Bill and I always offer our listeners a tip or something that they can walk away with and use at home. So I'm going to spring this on you and just ask you, what is something that somebody who's just starting the journey, who's in pain now, who maybe has injuries or even it's emotionally, or even it's something else physical, what would be the place to begin? What would your advice be? What would you tell people where they could start?
So that's a great question. For people who are really resonating with what I'm saying, going, oh, wow, that's me. I'm constantly in pain. The next time that you notice that some body part is hurting, there's two things that I hope you do. First, send love to that body part. I know it may sound hokey. That's actually how I avoided the knee surgery I was told I was going to need to have to fix what was wrong after the knee replacement. Didn't need it. And then the other thing is list off 3 to 5 things about a body part that you love. Literally shift your focus over to another area of your body that you're not experiencing pain. And then see if you're able to just change it just a little bit.
Do you think that is the first inkling of the idea that it can be changed?
Yes, and it's really important, especially for people who have been in pain for a long time. Patience is going to be your best tool. give yourself time. Do not try to rush things. And that's what I hear the most from my pain clients is like, oh, I felt so good. And then I overdid it. I get it. I did that a lot. Like it used to, as I continued to gain strength, like I used to have to divide cleaning my house into 2 days, not because my house is big, but because my back could only handle so much at a time. Now I don't need to do that. Now I can mop, vacuum, and then hop on an 8-hour Cogno class with you guys, which I've actually done before. But you've got to start small. So baby steps are really key. So the smaller you make it, and if you have success with that, great. Start to also, you could even start to say, okay, body, what are you trying to tell me with this? Which can sometimes start to feel weird when you start to have conversations with your body until you start to feel relief. And then it's not so weird anymore, or at least it isn't to me anyway.
So you also used a lot of Cognomovement sessions on your own. And we've talked about that you've come to seminars, and obviously you're a practitioner, so you've come through that. What else did you do on your own daily? And I'm kind of framing this question for everybody out there who's thinking, what does it really take to create what she has, a full change in your body, but changes in relationship and work and all of that?
The biggest thing daily is opening my mind and keeping my perspective open. As soon as I'm like this, I'm going to meet resistance. And if you meet that within your own body, you're making your day much harder than it needs to be. And so the more that we can open our mind, and with all the eye movements we do, Cognomovement is amazing for that. Just starting the day with 3-minute session, round off with an infinity, and just really set your intent for the day. What do you want to try to get out of that day? And that, like, it helps stimulate the brain, and it really like wakes me up and gets me taking the first step of the day with a positive mindset and really feel like I can do this.
So you weren't just always challenging the pain. You were looking at what can I do with my day? Did you start that right off, or did that happen somewhere along the way that you realized I can actually look at what I want for the day?
Well, it was actually when I hopped in the elliptical during Cogno Conscious, and suddenly I thought, well, maybe if I go the pace my body wants, maybe I won't need my asthma inhaler. And then I kind of grew that. I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I also go at the speed my body wants, then it's not going to hurt my knees. And it's like, maybe I should start talking to my body more often. It seems to have some ideas of how it can feel better. Maybe I should start listening to it.
I mean, there couldn't be anything more true. Years ago, I used to teach a set called Meet the Body, where I actually teach you to meet the body as though it were its own entity. And once you start treating it that way, like you would treat a friend, like you might treat a child, like you might treat the doorpost, because we say things to our body that we wouldn't even say to a doorpost. Once you start having that little bit of awareness, everything really, really does change. It's huge. So Katie, I want to thank you. We could talk to you for a million years about this. It's such a huge story. I want to encourage everybody to reach out to Katie, katiewrigley.com, and find out more about her story, because it's incredible. She uses Cognomovement in her coaching, and she can help you with pain and stress management. Bill, do you have any last comments or questions for Katie before we go?
Well, just a real quick comment. A lot of things, people are hearing, different terms, right? Like doing infinity or these sorts of things. What they're referring to during this is moving your eyes in the infinity pattern, like like a figure 8 on its side would be kind of what was being referred to. Anyway, obviously Katie can take you through a lot of that and help you out. She's been there, done that. She knows what it's like to be in pain and having dealt with all of the emotional turmoil that underlies the pain and how to get the relief for it from a completely different perspective. Cognomovement utilizes, as kind of the sound of the name, it's your mind and movement, cognitive and movement. So Katie is excellent at that, katiewrigley.com. And if you can't get it there, you can also contact her through the website, cognomovement.com. If you look her up, she's on our practitioner page. We're very proud of having her aboard as one of our practitioners. She's physically in the the state of Maine, I believe. And she works worldwide, though, via Zoom. So no matter where you're at in the world, she can help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really amazing to have the practitioners that we have, and people like Katie who have a very specific knowledge base. There's no other way to have that specific knowledge base than to have gone through it. So she has that, not only the knowledge, but the compassion to understand what you are really experiencing, but also the knowledge that can be changed in so many ways. And the knowledge that not only are going to change what's happening physically, but emotionally, mentally, in your relationships, in your job, and everything else then becomes possible. Isn't that the truth, Katie?
Yes, it really is. And had I known that that was the key to unlocking this amazing life that I now have, that I am very proud of now, I would have done it years before, but everything happens in its own time. And I'm very grateful for the journey because it's taught me so much.
Oh gosh, Katie Wrigley and Bill McKenna, thanks so much for being here with us all today. If you guys want more information, please reach out to Katie at katiewrigley.com. Bill and I can be reached at info@cognomovement.com, where you can find our basic training course. You can learn all about Cognomovement. We have 2 free books. We now have a new Cogno Quantum course. There's just a heck of a lot there, including our practitioners. So we'll see you guys all again next week. Any last thoughts, Bill McKenna?
Thank you all for joining us. If you liked the secrets that we reveal at the end of this program, you can go back to the archive and listen to the other episodes that we've done. There's all kinds of great tips and tricks, and there's one in every single episode. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on the other side, and happy health out there in UK Health Radio land this week. See you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for being here with us on the New Life Perspective radio show. For more information or to find out more about the work that Bill and I do, please visit us at cognomovement.com or email us at info@cognomovement.com. See you again soon.